To Jamaica Reflections. My name is Takesha Haney, and I'm humbled and honored to serve as Baylor's Director of Community Service. This evening, you will hear from the students and faculty who made this journey together. For those of you who may not know, the first Jamaica Servant Leadership trip took place in 1998 under the leadership of Jolie Anderson. For 28 years, being chosen for this trip has been the highest honor for students in Baylor's Community Service Program. It's awarded to those who demonstrate the utmost passion and commitment to serving others without regard for praise or notoriety. These students worked together for an entire year to raise money for the Jamaica Education Fund before serving in Kingston, Jamaica over spring break. As the faculty leader for this trip, I stand before you tonight with a heart filled with gratitude. I'm grateful to each of you for taking time out of your busy schedules to share this evening with us. I'm grateful to Jolie Anderson, whose vision and unwavering dedication to this program and our partners inspires every one of us who followed in her footsteps. I'm grateful for the support of the Baylor community, which stands fully behind its mission to equip our students to make a positive difference in the world. And I'm grateful for sharing this journey with my fellow trippers, Anna, Avery, Eloise, Mia, Olivia, Jaleesa, Coach Easley, Miss Jackson, and Jolie. Y'all, I'm humbled by the depth of your compassion and your commitment to serve. Please, everyone, take a deep breath. Be with us in this moment, in this space, as our Jamaica trippers share their reflections. Thank you.
Testing, okay. Thank y'all for being here, by the way. I am currently lying in my twin bed at the Immaculate Conception Convent Hostel in Kingston, Jamaica. Just saying or writing this is strange, as this morning I was learning Lagrange error bounds with Mrs. Maxwell. I am just here in my bed closest to the window, breathing in the sweltering heat and suffocating humidity, remarking at how incredibly grateful and reverent I am for my current situation. I couldn't be happier. This is how my notebook starts, titled Day 1, 3/11/2025. There are some moments in life where some divine voice whispers in your ear that you want to keep this snippet of time and space somewhere separate from the barrage of seconds we take in over a day. This was one of many I had on this trip. Serendipitous is all I can use to describe this moment, as the next day and week was one of the most formative of my life. I cannot wait to tell you a little bit about it. Imagine Disney World, puppies, kittens, sparkles, fairy tale endings, and freshly baked cookies. Think of all that love and comfort, now concentrated in the lush, vibrant port of Kingston. Congratulations, you have Ferry. On my first fleeting day in Ferry, I met a multitude of magical people who made not just something, but everything out of nothing. The first of which was Miss Sonia, a proud business owner. Walking down the lane, there was the warmest cacophony of greetings you could imagine. Although it was well over 80 degrees under the Jamaican sun, which we learned is different, I was happy to receive each warm embrace. I was overwhelmed with the love that they showed me after knowing me for maybe 5 seconds. I started to settle in. That's when I met Miss Lisa and Jaheim. They opened their home with vibrant smiles and open arms. I was privileged to hear Miss Lisa's story of her education, first through the Jamaica Education Fund, and then on to nursing school, from which she just recently graduated. Next, we got to hear from Jaheim, a testament to the power of passion and raison d'etre, or reason of being. Jaheim, at my age, is already an accomplished artist. I was truly humbled. Our moments with them were powerful, but we moved on to the school. The Ferry Basic School is a pillar of the community. During the day, cheerful children grace its classrooms with books and keep the air rife with laughter. This is when I met Natasha Brown, not just Natasha, as she informed me. We walked into the school, and she immediately took my hand. It was decided. We read books until we ran out of them, ran outside, and then reread the books. You've never heard laughter until you've heard Natasha Brown laugh. You've never received a helping hand until Natasha Brown has offered to help you pick up blocks. During the evening, older girls return home from school and gather at Ferry Basic. The classroom becomes a slumber party, except we didn't sleep there. Mercedes braided my hair while I talked to Misty about school. We were just girls bonding over pop music and SNL. Yes, Mercedes can sing the whole Domingo song. Somehow, I woke up on day 7, 3/16/2025, and it was our last day in Ferry. On this day, I reflected on those sublime moments I had in this paradise hidden in plain sight. I mentioned a few specific people briefly, but I realized new things between the first moments, some of which seemed insignificant at first, and my waving goodbye from the bus on that cloudy evening on that little island. Think about all the decisions you have made in your life and where they've gotten you. Better yet, think of all of the decisions your ancestors have made in their respective lives. The culmination of all of the lucky coincidences or devastating losses is you, sitting in a chair in the old chapel at Baylor School in Chattanooga, Tennessee. How different could it have been? Let me tell you. Do you remember Miss Lisa, who is a nurse? She was accepted into Baylor as an international student. She was prepared to lead a new life in the same Tennessee Valley that we all know and love. One day, she was informed that financial aid was discontinued largely for international students, meaning she could no longer attend. She could have given up her dream of nursing. She could have cursed the school for not letting her sit where you are now. But no, she chose love. One more person I want to tie back to is Miss Sonia. Remember her? I met her on my first day, but did not see much of her after that. I saw her again as we were about to board the bus to leave Ferry. She pulled me aside, and I was very confused. She went on to tell me that she had been keeping an eye on me all week and that she saw something in me. She took my hands, looked me in the eyes, and implored me to be careful and to not dull the color of my soul. 2026 trippers, this time next year you will be doing the same thing I am. You'll be fondly remembering these sweet feelings of stepping off the van, dust lifting around your ankles as the scholars run by, or a small hand patting your back. One of you will befriend Natasha Brown as I did. One of you will lie in the same bed I did. One of you will hold Mr. Rudy's hand. One of you will experience Jada's sweet serenade after a long, hot day. I can only hope that you glean the same strength in these moments of human connection that I did. The power of a moment comes from the fact that it is fleeting. The beauty of life comes from the fact that it is finite. I will leave you with what I thought about and subsequently shared one clear night in the courtyard of the Immaculate Conception Convent, surrounded by bright orange and pink flowers glowing in the dark, in Kingston, Jamaica, in the middle of the Caribbean, under a glittering blanket of stars. The fact that we are in this moment, in this place, together, and alive at all is statistically nearly impossible. We are living miracles. Let's love.
As I complete the final part of this life-changing experience, writing out my reflections, what comes to the surface from my heart most clearly from thinking back to the week in Jamaica is love. Before stepping into ferry on the first day, I had never before felt so completely surrounded by that feeling. So, to convey my experience in ultimate reflections, I want to illustrate what love means to me after returning from the Jamaica trip. L. Live boldly. While in the ferry community, I met many children, both young and old. One that left a lasting impact on me, and who undoubtedly fits the idea of living boldly, is Jamar. I met Jamar the 4th day of our trip. From the moment we met, I realized that he is a firecracker. He is unlike many of the other smaller scholars I met in ferry. Unlike Anastasia, a hushed and observant young girl I also formed a connection with. Jamar is lively and enthusiastic. Outwardly, his inability to be still matches his attitude on the inside, constantly curious. He asked me about food in the United States, McDonald's, Takis, Mr. Beast chocolate, and we talked about his classes in school. Heartened by his never being fully satisfied or content with the idea of there being more to know, I instantly connected with Jamar and have kept him in mind since returning to Chattanooga. He has challenged me to be a more curious and ambitious person, someone who finds it thrilling that there are corners of this world I know nothing about yet, or that there are more adventures to find. O. Open arms. I met many giving people on this trip. Their actions were done not out of wanting recompense, but because it was an innate part of their spirit to give and welcome others into their community. I saw this in Garfield. As we walked up the path to his art studio in Trenchtown, I initially was dazzled by the colorful and ornate ceramics on the shelves. Then I met Garfield, the creator behind the masterpieces. As he enthusiastically took us on a tour of his artistic palace, it was clear there was true passion put into each step of his ceramic process. After the tour, he gave us the opportunity to make our own clay piece. Garfield's willingness to share the clay that he holds so dearly to him was remarkable. He also shares his craft with local students in the Trenchtown community as an after-school activity. Once we finished our pieces, we thanked Garfield profusely for the experience and moved on to a new place. The story does not end there, though. On the last day of the trip before our departure, we visited Garfield again. All of the trippers were hopeful that he kept our clay creations finally dry, waiting, but the chances were slim. When Coach Easley inquired about them, though, Garfield's face lit up. Even though there had been a span of days since our first introductions, and he easily could have reused that clay for a new and exquisite ceramic in his shop, he kept our little trinkets, just in case we would want them. Garfield's selflessness is a quality I will always be appreciative for and inspired by. V. Validate. To me, validation was conveyed through the connections I made. After spending the morning with the younger ferry children, a few of the trippers and I got the opportunity to spend time with the older girls. Olivia, Mia, and Anna had already been talking with them inside of the ferry basic school when I first walked in and met them all. Upon entering, the girls welcomed me at once and began braiding my hair. Our conversation took twists and turns between celebrity crushes and words in patois, but the overarching theme was validation. The understanding of each other, no matter where we were from, intertwined like the strands of our hair being braided together. I saw this with Anastasia as well. She is a younger scholar I met at the Ferry Basic School the second morning of the trip. I gravitated towards her because of her shyness. While the other scholars ran around with blocks and puzzles, books and pens, Anastasia was content with staying seated in her designated spot at the table, even if it meant she sometimes sat alone. Speaking to us took some time. I dedicated my time to getting to know her, though, because I felt validated in talking with her, as we connected over reading and complimented each other's hair. She is a scholar I have not and will not forget. E, embrace the hardship. This is a quality I saw in every single partner. They are extremely resilient people. Two I met whose story stood out to me was that of Nurse Lisa's and Mr. Rudy's. Nurse Lisa is a woman and mother in the Ferry community who offered us her story about the lengthy process of nursing school and becoming a geriatric nurse. She talked to us about how she was so scared to fail because she wanted something so badly. Through her ability to trust in God and embrace the idea of failing, she taught me that if you love your dreams enough and fully commit to your goals, nothing will stop you. Mr. Rudy similarly showed me what never giving up looks like, and that it requires keeping close what you love. Upon arriving to his room at the Home for the Aged, he described to us his recent injury. He was physically feeling weak and tired, but nonetheless was grateful for life. My heart grew fuller when I heard his voice drift over to other rooms as he sang with Mrs. Haney and Olivia. I'm comforted by the fact that no matter what hardships pass through Mr. Rudy's life, he will seek joy in some way, most especially from music. Live boldly, open arms, validate, embrace the hardship, love. These words are what I took away from this experience. They are what I saw throughout every partner we met in Jamaica and are what, to me, contribute to the word that connected us all. I've always considered love to be a powerful emotion, but the experiences of the trip created new meaning in that word. I've taken away that I want to spread and receive more love because I have seen how transformative it is. Our partners are resilient, courageous, bold, hospitable, and loving. They are true change makers that this world benefits from immensely. I am endlessly grateful for this experience and for the partners in Ferry, the Home for the Aged, Garfield's Art Studio, and Bethany Village that showed me what true leadership looks like. I miss them all, but as the quote goes, how lucky I am to have something that makes saying goodbye so hard. To the next Jamaica trippers, the advice I give to you is to be present in every moment. I was able to have the genuine conversations and learn the plethora of lessons I did from focusing on the present moment. As I remember Anna saying on the first day of the trip, the lost art of human connection is fulfilled in these communities we visit. Every experience I had was built on connection, but the connection required reflection and putting in intentional effort in every moment. I cannot wait to see you all commit to this experience throughout the next year, and I will await the day I get to hear from each of you about your stories upon returning from the trip.
Hello? Okay. The first time I saw the mustard seed community, speechlessness fell upon me. Vibrant greenery with blossoming flowers encompassed the landscape. Rolling hills greeted the van as we passed through the gates into Bethany Village. My eyes were captivated by the brightly painted homes that lined the seemingly endless fields. A huge greenhouse busting with healthy plants took up the far left bottom of the valley, and a giant gazebo took my breath away. I turned to Coach Easley and saw a similarly astonished expression on his face. Once we stepped out of the van, soft, buzzing bees filled my ears, and the smell of fresh flowers charged my lungs as I continued to take in my surroundings. I realized how grateful I felt to be experiencing this moment. Walking the property with Coach Easley after the group tour finished with thoughts of "this is paradise" resounding in my mind. And just as I had thought it for the millionth time, Coach Easley said aloud, "This is truly an oasis." At those words, I felt whole. I feel blessed to have witnessed Bethany Village because the care with which the staff takes when interacting with the residents who are there at the Home for the Disabled was evident from the moment I stepped out of the van. Seeing the facilities that the residents have access to made my heart swell with happiness because I knew, despite their disabilities, they were still able to enjoy life. The presence of their joy made me smile while making bracelets because it felt as though we had an unspoken understanding of how precious this moment was for us all. This experience further reminded me that God is working everywhere and in every place we went. His loving presence engulfed me in the mustard seed community while dancing to Coach Easley's music from his speaker on the activity center stage, with the residents gradually joining in. I remember my hand being grabbed by Patricia as she pulled me onto the stage and we swayed to the good vibes in the air. I felt the warmth of God's presence the most when I marveled in gratitude as an entire community of people with the least amount to give prepared cooked, and served an entire meal to us just to show their love. The Ferry community is strong and welcoming, even despite all the hardships each one of them face on the daily, and their resilience inspires me to continue to chase after my dreams. However, the biggest takeaway from this trip is the reassurance I felt for what my future holds. The 2025 journey to Jamaica was the first time that Miss Jolie, the founder and longtime director of this servant trip, did not accompany the trippers for the entire time. I watched how hard this transition was for her. I watched her with emotional eyes as she gave endless hugs and kisses to all her friends at Ferry, and the mere mention of her name made people's eyes light up in Ferry. The generous welcome of bountiful love we received as a result of the relationships that she cultivated at Ferry made the revelation that deeply rooted love that pours out of someone's heart can change lives even more meaningful to me. This trip confirmed that I am aspiring to answer the call of service, because the peace I felt from being a willing vessel for service was and currently is my why. This journey in Jamaica made me realize that it's not about trying to touch everyone in the world, but rather finding my own Ferry community to build lasting friendships in by hearing their stories and listening for the sake of understanding rather than accomplishing a preconceived notion. Ferry taught me so much about Jamaica, but also myself, and for that I am eternally grateful. Lastly, I want to offer the 26 trippers a word of wisdom. When you get to that point in the trip when every emotion is hitting you harder than you expected, and you feel as though you're about to get overwhelmed, lean on your fellow trippers, because they are truly the only people in the world who know exactly what you're going through. They're experiencing the same thing you are. So even if it feels as though you are alone in those rush of emotions, I promise you are not. I learned this when I started to really lean on my fellow trippers, and once I did, I started noticing certain things, like how the smiles I received in the mornings from Eloise made my day start off 100 times better, how the wildly entertaining stories told during breakfast by Mia always made me feel more included. The bear hugs that tackled me throughout the day from Olivia made me crack a smile even on the hardest of days. The motherly love I felt from Mrs. Haney and Jackson made the daughter in me feel protected. And the quirky yet perfectly timed jokes that Anna cracked made my days brighter. And the annoying yet so desperately needed fellowship and encouragement from Avery soothed my soul. And the words of pure wisdom and understanding that came from Coach Easley's mouth touched my spirit in a way I know will never leave me. Future trippers, learn to trust those sitting next to you over the course of this journey, because you will be experiencing emotional and potentially life-changing moments with them. Trust us, trust yourselves, trust each other, and trust love, because it conquers all.
My time spent in Jamaica was, in many ways, the most meaningful and eye-opening experience of my life. I met people who live in ways which are vastly different from my own, yet still, there existed a bridge of connection. My time in Jamaica challenged my perception of humanity and what it meant to be human. Miss Jolie told us at the very beginning to watch, and don't look away, becoming a mindset which I held going into every day of the trip. During my time in Ferry, I deviated from the regular schedule of what most of the girls did. On the very first day while touring around Ferry by Miss Jolie, we met a grandmother who we would later come to call Mama Rose. She invited us into her home, not only to meet her kindergarten-aged grandson, but also to offer us a coconut to try. She cut it open in front of us and offered it to the group. She did not have to do so, and there was certainly no expectation for her to share anything with us. But the fact that stood out to me was that she spoke of her adversities and challenges that she faced on a day-to-day basis, but still had such a pure heart as to offer us some of her food. This made it a mission, not only of mine, but also the group, to repay her kindness the best way we could. One of her challenges that she spoke of extensively was that of her roof, which would leak water onto her bed as the rest of her house would flood during heavy rains. She would often end up sharing a bed with her grandson during said floods. Despite this, water would still leak through the roof and make only half of the bed any type of comfortable. She would later detail to me how she would have to put large plastic bags on her bed with cooking pots on top to catch only some of the water. Mama Rose did not have ample opportunities to live comfortably like many of us do. The insulation in her roof was essentially cardboard, and her walls were nothing more than a plank of wood separating her from the pigs and chickens which she kept as livestock. It was the night after we first met, though, that it rained, and as we sat by a candle in the dark kitchen of the convent, our reflections were surrounded in both gratefulness and how we have access to comfortable living conditions, but also sadness by the thought that Mama Rose, so compassionate and kind, had to sleep wet and cold. After some deliberation, we came up with a plan to take down and rebuild a new roof, keeping some of the healthy beams inside for support. We then executed our vision, going to a nearby hardware store and calling upon our wonderful driver, Mr. Al, to allow us to borrow some of his tools. Al was essential in our mission, as he was very knowledgeable about what we should do and how we should do it. It was no easy task, though. With each day, we faced new challenges on how to rebuild, as well as plenty of time restraints. Despite this, as a group, we made it work. On the second day of working on the roof, we had only torn down the insulation at the very top. But Mama Rose talked to me to say thank you. She told me of the stress which the roof caused for her, physical stress, having lasted for years, which she told me went away after we simply started working. The whole experience of working on Mama Rose's roof revealed to me that our work was wholeheartedly a partnership. It was Bob and Bobby, her sons, who nailed the nails and tore out the old wood from its sockets. They worked for their mom and the time which they had outside of their own jobs. This partnership, though, formed many years before us and will continue long after us. That bond which exists between us and all of our partners in Jamaica. I hope that the future Jamaica trippers will continue to see that as well. It's not about us and what we do in Jamaica, but rather about what we can do with others for humanity. Thank you.
Hello. Love, resilience, and joy. That is what I remember from my time in Jamaica. These are the 3 words that I used to describe my experience on the last night of the trip, and they are the same 3 words that I return to each time I reflect on my time in Ferry, the Home for the Aged, Garfield Studio, and Bethany Village. As I stepped off the van for the first time in Ferry, I felt an overwhelming combination of excitement and nervousness. I thought of the long lineage of past trippers who had been in the same exact spot as me and questioned where I fit. However, as I stepped through the gates of the Ferry Basic School and was greeted by the smiling faces and laughter of the young scholars, my nerves dissipated. Like all those before me, I found myself in Jamaica to spread love and education. As one scholar ran up to me to give me a hug before we even exchanged names, I was able to get the first glimmer of the love that overflows from this community. We spent most of that first day walking the lanes with Miss Jolie, becoming acquainted with the Ferry community and hearing the stories of its residents, which encapsulated and illustrated the village perfectly. In the months leading up to the trip, I heard the reoccurring advice to listen. Through this practice, I was able to see the consistent theme in everyone's story. Life may get hard, but you must push through. To me, nobody embodied this concept more than Miss Lisa. Miss Lisa lives in Ferry with her son Jaheim, where she has recently completed her nursing program. She told us how she had always dreamed of being a nurse, but when she got to school, a fear of not achieving this dream began to take over. Despite her anxieties, Miss Lisa continued to push on to reach her dream. She's the embodiment of warmth and strength that I return to each time I feel my own anxieties holding me back. Though I did have some anticipations and expectations for the trip, one of my most treasured memories came rather unexpectedly. As one of our days in Ferry began to wind down, I went to the school along with Anna, Eloise, and Olivia to wait for the others to finish their project. It was then that a group of older girls came to hang out with us after walking home from school. One girl, named Mercedes, introduced herself to me and immediately began crafting an elaborate hairstyle. As she braided and slicked back my hair, I asked her questions about her life, school, and interests, and she began to do the same. We found out that we had a lot in common, including the same obsession for an SNL skit that had aired just weeks before we arrived in Jamaica. I was lucky enough to spend more time with Mercedes later on in the week, and through our reciprocal eagerness to learn about each other's cultures, we built a tight-knit bond. Though limited, the time we spent as a group with the older girls was full of laughter, singing, and sharing of memories. Anna said it best when she called the moments the perfect example of girlhood. Girlhood is what connected me back to my best friends who went on the trip just the year before. It is what connects me to the fellow trippers I share these experiences with, and most importantly, it is what still connects me to Mercedes, even now that I have returned home. Love. Love may not always look the same, but the love that pours from the hearts of those whom we met is undeniable. It is the love that spans years of past trippers. It is the love that Mr. Rudy showed us as we parted that will never leave us. It travels from the moon and the stars and all the way back. Joy. It is the laughter-filled greetings from the students at the basic school each morning. The pride that beamed from Miss Erica's friends at Bethany Village as they shared her story. As I reflect on my trip, I can visualize the joy that is intertwined throughout each memory, sewing together the lessons and experiences I will carry with me for the rest of my life. I return to the wise words of Coach Easley. Struggle can look different, but joy is all the same. It is this joy that connects us back to the communities we were blessed to meet. Resilience. It is a pillar of strength that so many are in the Ferry community. It is Miss Lisa pushing herself through nursing school and Miss Sally stopping at nothing to provide a good education for her students. It is what has inspired me every day since returning home from Jamaica. This trip has changed my life in ways that I still find hard to articulate. The people that I met while in Jamaica carry a liveliness that I have never experienced before. So, to Krishna, Shanina, Ellie, Katie, Ananya, Lola, and Gavin, I will give you the same advice that I was given only a year ago. Soak in every moment and listen to everyone you meet. No two people have the same story, and you never know who you will see yourself in. Embrace every experience and never shy away from stepping up. The bonds you will make with those who you travel with and those you meet will last a lifetime, and I cannot wait for you all to share this experience together. Thank you.
Where do I begin to describe the power love has in Ferry? Love's power is the children sharing snacks with new friends. Love's power is hands held and hugs given by new found family. Love's power is partnership that spans 1,300 miles across land and sea. The powerful example of love that has shaped me the most after 7 weeks is the unwavering support from mother to son. Jaheim is a university student living in Ferry and is in school for fashion and animation. He, like many students in Ferry, went through school supported by the Jamaica Education Fund. Being able to see someone who, like me, has aspirations and a true passion for providing happiness for others was incredible. But something I saw that altered my view on life was the unwavering support from his mother, Lisa. I realized despite differences in culture, wealth, or resources, the power of a strong mother overflows into her child regardless of situation. Lisa's love and support for Jaheim gave me a greater appreciation for my own mother. Like Jaheim, without my mother's steadfast support and endless sacrifices, I would not be able to excel in my passions and shine with the brightness she poured into me. Love's power is strengthened by mutual support. Riding the bus to Trenchtown from Kingston, I reflected on this connection of powerful love with Jaheim and Lisa. As I searched for how I could connect with others through sharing love and presence, whether that's in Ferry, Jamaica, Chattanooga, Tennessee, or my hometown of Oxford, Mississippi, the one image that replayed in my mind was the image of Miss Jolie and Mr. Rudy her dear friend, sharing that powerful connection of unconditional love. I've cultivated this image through stories shared by Miss Jolie and the images on the community service wall of posters. One experience I was nervous to embrace was the home for the aged in Trenchtown. As someone who has had a hard time connecting with my aging grandfather who struggles with Parkinson's disease, going to the home for the aged completely transformed my ability to connect with not just my grandfather, but every wise elder who I've had the chance to meet. As Mrs. Haney introduced me to Mr. Rudy, I instantly understood why past trippers say this trip changed their life. Mr. Rudy is a music-loving, advice-sharing, passionate friend who I have the privilege to meet. As Mr. Rudy has aged, he has completely lost sight and is hard of hearing. However, this did not hinder his ability to bring joy to those around him. As I sat with Mr. Rudy, he shared with me his struggles, but ultimately his love for life and the connections he is able to make. A moment that will stick with me forever is when he asked to feel my smile. He shared with me that he had not been able to feel the presence of a smile in a long time. Before this trip, I don't know that I had fully grasped the power of human touch, but sitting there at that moment, I felt not just his hands on my smile, but simple connection. It was love, and it was beautiful. Even through the short visits, I understood that presence and vulnerability build not only connections, but character. Except not far from Mr. Rudy's room, I met a woman who embodies pure joy, a neighbor who also regularly serves food at the home for the aged, Kay Ann, a Jamaica Tripper enthusiast. She has kept photos of all Jamaica Trippers, individual pictures in a photo book to share with the current Trippers. Hearing the love she has for every Tripper that has walked into Trenchtown was amazing. The thing that was most incredible, however, was seeing the faces of Stott High School and Natalie Heineman. Stott, a 2017 Tripper, a fellow Mississippian, and a good friend, is the reason I found Baylor and the Jamaica trip. Seeing her legacy throughout my Baylor experiences, especially in community service, has been special. Ms. Heineman, a 2009 Jamaica Tripper, a Hunter Hall dorm head, and my role model, who I am so incredibly grateful to have met, has shared with me such impactful experiences from Jamaica that have made me so incredibly grateful to have met her, and she has shared such impactful experiences. The trip has made bonds between Trippers, not just in my year, but in the Baylor community as a whole. The Jamaica trip has brought such special connections and has tied invisible but powerful strings of love. 2026 Jamaica Trippers, I prompt you to look for this love, while also bringing forth the love in your heart that the 2025 Trippers know you have. I am beyond grateful for this ability to pass the torch and leave the 35-year partnership with each of you. I want to thank everyone for embracing these stories of love and continuing this power in daily life. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Coach Easley. It's not on. Oh, man. It's not on. Hey, you hear me now? Hey, we on. How y'all doing? I'm Coach Easley. I had the pleasure of tagging along with the group. I was in a kind of cool position because, yes, I was a faculty on the trip, but this is my first experience, just like the Trippers. So I was able to kind of experience it in a different way, right? Now, I'm gonna warn you guys, right? I wrote a lengthy reflection. But for me, being able to share some of the stories that we shared, and some of the experiences that we shared, I should say, with you guys are very important. Some of the people that we met and some of the things that we experienced, I want you guys to be able to feel it a little bit, all right? So if you guys will bear with me for a little while, I'm gonna share my reflections with you guys, all right? All right. Here at Baylor, I'm a sports performance coach and a basketball coach. I spend the majority of my time in the weight room with all of our student athletes. I get to test and challenge the strength and abilities of the muscular system all day. The one muscle I rarely get to see tested is the heart. This trip had nothing to do with front squats, back squats, acceleration drills, or developing a jump shot. Everything about this trip and those involved in this program, it all stems from their heart, that muscle in your chest. When you peel back the layers of self, you expose your heart. That vulnerability gives away to the condition of your heart. Servitude is a different type of growth. It stretches the heart in unimaginable ways, and by going with the flow, you gain access to a new level of strength and resilience. The one thing I will always remember from this experience is that inside each and every one of us are two qualities that life constantly tests: our strength and our resilience. Your strength is your ability to withstand pressure, stress, to exert force, and to resist being broken. Your resilience is your ability to recover from difficulties, to adapt to change, and to bounce back from challenges. When your strength is pushed to the end, there's a small voice inside of you that tells you not to give up. That small voice is your resiliency speaking up. In some, that voice is quiet as a whisper, and in others, it's as loud as a lion's roar. No matter how the message is shared, when you listen to that voice, you access the part of yourself that is usually unfamiliar or suppressed from being locked away behind your own struggles. You access your heart. Never give up was the message consistently echoed during our time in Jamaica. It was the first message we received at Ferry from Mr. Parker. It was the last message we received from Miss Sally as we hugged her goodbye on our last night at Ferry. On the surface, we witnessed what true strength looks like in so many different shapes and forms. We saw people truly holding the weight of life on their shoulders, carrying their struggles with a smile. And through upholding life, they built enough resilience to even encourage us not to give up. Whether served with a smile or with eyes and tired hands from a long day's work, the principle of never giving up is one I will truly embody for the rest of my life. And I'm forever grateful for that lesson with my time in Jamaica. The piece of this trip that truly impacted me the most was my time at Mustard Seed. Our time at Mustard Seed was a time where joy, we got to see the true power of joy. Spending that time with our friends really opened my eyes to the many ways that love and joy can be expressed and transmitted. We woke up that day, we didn't know what to expect. All we knew was that we were going on to tour the grounds, make bracelets with the residents, and meet the friends of the illustrious Erica. Once we got all the residents to the activity room, we quickly understood that sharing our attention and communicating with some of the residents would be a challenge. That's when I saw each tripper begin to embrace the moment in their own way. In a space where words couldn't always fill in the gaps, they used their hands and hugs. Once I settled at my table, I began to interact with one of my friends. Some could verbally communicate where others couldn't. Now, truth be told, my time as a professional basketball player trained me for environments like this. When you're playing in a foreign country for an extended amount of time, you learn different ways to communicate. And in my time overseas, I found that music is the ultimate conduit of emotions. A song can express and bring out things that words just can't. So beside me, my friend Richard, he would softly sing songs that were playing on the speaker. And once he finished his bracelet, he continued to sing. And now, honestly, I could not remember a word that he sang. All I could hear was his passion. Singing brought him joy, and he was sharing that passion and joy with me. I'm a firm believer that in life you must lean into your bliss, and when there's an opportunity to do so, seize it. I encouraged Richard to amplify his joy, and he allowed me to be a transmitter for him that day. So we found ourselves on stage dancing and singing whatever song came through the speaker. Energy is contagious. Whether good or bad, it will be shared. I would randomly look around the room and see our friends smiling and dancing. And what started as two friends leaning into one's bliss became a room connected through it. We were all able to share Richard's bliss that day. On our fourth day, we met our friend Garfield. And Garfield was the owner of the Trenchtown Art Center. Garfield was originally from Canada, and through his passion of art and poetry, he found himself planting in Trenchtown. He grew up knowing about his Jamaican heritage, but he never really felt connected to it, with his family relocating to Canada. Garfield shared that his mother sparked his passion for pottery, and through that passion, led him to Jamaica. He shared how he was seen as an outcast for some time because he didn't belong to a certain community or parish. So Garfield created his own community in Trenchtown through his art sanctuary. And he opened his sanctuary to the community to learn and express themselves through ceramics and art. While there, he gave us a brief history behind the Jamaican red dirt and his process used. He let us play with the clay and encouraged us to create and express however and whatever moved us. While we worked on our pottery, I could hear Garfield share his struggles with Takesha and Keela. He shared about the development of his business and the untapped potential lying dormant in Trenchtown. He spoke about the reality of his business and the potential that he sees in Trenchtown. It was clear to see that Garfield's heart wasn't in it for the money. It was a way to share his passion and his bliss for those that travel from far and wide to Trenchtown. As we wrapped up the day, we all left wondering if we can keep our little piece of Trenchtown. But no one asked out of respect to Garfield and his business. We all shared how we wanted to keep that piece of art, and we hoped that he didn't put it away. So we stopped by Garfield's on Monday just to finish up our farewell tour. That morning, we were all hoping that he kept our piece and that he would bless us and allow us to bring it home. So when we approached, he was surprised to see us. He was working on his car, teaching a few kids from the community while doing it. We shared snacks, and he immediately began to give it out to the kids. So after giving out the snacks, I asked Garfield if he still had our pieces and if we could bring them home. He broke out with a smile and he said yes. He shared that something inside of him told him not to mess with those pieces. He explained how he got caught up in different things, but something told him to wait. To me, that something was the divine. In life, I've come to learn you have to trust the wait. We all were trusting the wait in some way that day. Garfield was patiently waiting for his passion of the arts and culture of Trenchtown to blossom and bloom. And we were waiting for a simple yes, so that we could take our little piece of him, a stem of Trenchtown, an extension of his love that he shared with us, home to propagate within us in our lives and in our passions. One of the biggest challenges that I had to overcome, and we kind of had to overcome, was trying to make home improvements with only a basic level of handyman experience. I am a hooper by trade, okay? And the most that I've ever dabbled in construction is building Legos. So on day 2, Miss Jolie introduced us to Mama Rose. They've been connected for over 30 years, and Mama Rose is the mother of 13, all right? Not grandkids, 13 of her own, 9 boys, 4 girls. And all the fathers but one that passed. Now, I have one child, and every parent in here knows that parenting even one child is no small feat. So doing it 13 times over comes with a little respect. But Mama Rose was a survivor. She's strength and resiliency embodied. She was also raising her 5-year-old grandson, Tyreek. During our visit, she explained how her room floods when it rains. The water down the mountain behind her home fills her room, and rain pours through the roof directly on her side of the bed. So being in her room and seeing her floor and seeing the roof sparked something inside of us. We felt called to take compassionate action. Now, Ms. Jolie describes it as taking a posture of open arms, action driven by compassion. You don't always know how or what, but when you take compassionate action, you always know why. Avery and I knew we couldn't stop the water coming off the mountain, but we could stop the roof from leaking. The hardest part of that time was leaving on day 3. We had all the supplies needed to start, but we couldn't start because the rain was coming in. We knew that Mama Rose would be lying in a soaking bed that night, and it just didn't sit right with us. So with the help of Al, Bobby, Bob, and Mama Rose herself, we installed a new zinc roof, reinforced old beams, and we put up a ceiling. You know, it's not bad for an amateur Lego builder and a retired basketball player. Now, we didn't have the time or the tools to do a complete overhaul of her house, but I'm proud of what we accomplished. As we finished the work, Mama Rose began to sing. I don't know the lyrics, but I know the feeling. It was a song of hope. It was a song of restoration. To next year's trippers. Bob Marley has a quote that says, beginnings are usually scary and endings are usually sad, but it's everything in between that makes it all worth living. I can't wait to see how you guys develop your own posture of open arms. And just know, Lord willing, I have my bags packed and I'll be ready to go again. Thank you, guys.
And every trip has been beyond words. Last year when I spoke to everyone and I said, it's an experience that you can't really fully articulate. Our trippers didn't know then, but they know now. The love is what has kept everything going for all of this time. And so, Donna Marie is an alum, yes, in the back. Donna Marie, she tripped with us last year and she created our video last year. She created this video, and to see this video, and she did not ask us what we wanted, but her love of Ferry, her love of us, her love of the program, her love of humanity, and just divine, as Coach E said, the divine within her allowed her to channel everything. And the song that she selected, I told Takesha, I told Mrs. Haney, I said on one of my recent trips from Jamaica, there was a young man sitting in front of me and he was whistling, "Don't Worry, Be Happy." And in my mind, I'm thinking, nobody whistles that anymore, because everybody there, when you get there, they're like 3 little birds. Don't worry about a thing. So Don't Worry, Be Happy is not really on the radar. But for that to have been in the atmosphere, and then Donna Marie to have picked that up, and that was what was inspired in this. And then for that baby, I don't know if you all caught that, but that baby said, "Hello to the future. Hello to the future. Hello to the future." So the charge to us all, as we are the future, hello to the future, is don't worry, be happy. And I invite you to share this love with us. And now I'm going to introduce, or I guess present, the 2025 poster. For any of you all, I say this all the time, for all of you all who've ever been in our office, you know that we have our poster wall of fame, all of our years. And Jolie, you have preserved the posters, and they've been on our wall, in our office, and every year our trippers are like, "That's gonna be me one day. I'm gonna be up there, I'm gonna be up there." And so tonight, we are presenting you, our 2025 trippers, with our poster. And with this poster, Mrs. Haney and I, we always, we're prayerful in what we want to present, because we're very intentional in making sure that not only do our trippers reflect what this trip means, but also that we represent our partners and our family and ferry with dignity and integrity. And so it's not just, let's take some cool pictures. These cute, she look cute, girl. No, it's not that. It's what do we want to present to the world? What is our gift in presenting just a teeny tiny little bit of the joy and the love we have? And so with each poster, each picture on here, as we've said, it's been hand-picked, curated with love. And so the quote this year is, "Live with your arms wide open." And that was from our program creator, Jolie Anderson. And once again, let's give her a round of applause. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for extending this. People been crying, and I'm like, I'm not gonna cry, I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry. Thank you for extending this when we didn't always see the vision. Thank you. And it's no secret, I love Jamaica. I love Jamaica with all my heart. And so thank you for allowing us to gain that love on our own and just saying, you'll get it, you'll see, you'll understand. So thank you. Live with your arms wide open, 2025 trippers, 2026 trippers. Love to the future. All right, I present to, let's see, I'm gonna go down the line. Anna, would you please come get your 2025 poster, please? Thank you. You're welcome. Eloise, will you please come up and get your 2025 Jamaica Leadership Trip poster? Olivia, will you please come up and get your 2025 Respect Jamaica Leadership poster? I'm not gonna cry. Julissa, will you please come up here and get your Jamaica Leadership poster, please? Avery, will you please come up and get your 2025 Jamaica Leadership poster? Yes, Auntie Jack Jack. Mia Perdomo. Mia, please come up here and get your poster.
So at this time, we'd like to recognize a few people and express gratitude. That's the theme of our, that's who we are, you know. As servant leaders, we lead with love and gratitude. So we're gonna close out that way too. First, I'd like to recognize all of the former Jamaica trippers who are here with us this evening. Could you all please stand and just wave and we've got Ms. Hyman. When did you go on the trip? 2009. Mr. Kennedy? 2010. Ladies, we've got, Lillian, Lucy. 2023, Isabel Luna. 2024. All right. Yay. Thank you all. Oh, Dawn Marie. 2024. Awesome. Yes. Well, so thank you for being here. And as we tell Jamaica trippers during our tenure, you, 2026 trippers, but you all have joined a legacy, right, of servant leaders who have cultivated, nurtured the partnerships over the years, and it's an amazing village to be a part of. So thank you all for being here and sharing with us this evening. We'd next like to thank the parents of the 2025 Trippers. So parents, can you just stand up, wave your hand, whatever you feel comfortable with. Thank you for trusting us with your babies and allowing them this opportunity to just open their hearts, open their minds, and grow. And as you heard tonight, to be challenged, to be inspired, and to be transformed. So thank you, parents. We'd also like to thank, it's a busy time of year. We don't have representation this evening from our admin, but they have been incredibly supportive of this effort, of this program. They've never turned us down when we've asked for opportunities to raise funds for the Jamaica Education Fund. And in fact, they're very encouraging. Do you want to do anything else? Like, no, we're really tired. We're really gonna lean into candygrams and Valentine's candy sales and common sense and our letter writing campaign. That's where our focus is. And as again, they've just been so supportive. That being said, I want to thank the Baylor community because you all support us in such selfless ways. And I don't even know if folks really understand the impact of those $1 donations. But as our student leaders, servant leaders alluded to tonight, lives are transformed, right? You heard Lisa's name mentioned several times. Lisa, the young lady who came up through the sponsorship, as they call it in Ferry, but the Jamaica Education Fund. She's a nurse. She has completed her studies. Her example in that community it's powerful, it's tangible, not only in her own home with her son Jaheen, but throughout the community. Education it's a gift, and thanks to all of you in the Baylor community for helping make that gift possible year after year since 1998. Baylor has been able to honor the commitment, honor that partnership, and continue to help families send their children to school. So thank you to the Baylor community. I do know that the Trippers want to take a few moments to express gratitude and recognize a few folks. So I'm going to invite Avery up, and then I think Mia.
Thank you all. As she was saying, this is a legacy that we are continuing here, and also, as she said, those little donations that we have received, whether it be candygrams, Valentine's grams, or just the donations that we have from our letter campaign, it all leads to the opportunity for us as Trippers to make a change, one of which neither myself nor anyone else in the group could have ever dreamt of. Even beyond that, the impact our community has on another community so far away is beyond comprehension. Nelson Mandela once said that education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. The generous donations made towards the Jamaican Education Fund will undoubtedly help generations of children have the opportunity to make a change in their own lives, and in turn, help the whole community of Ferry. We have seen the impact Baylor makes, and it truly embodies the school's mission to make the world a better place. Thank you all.
So you've heard it said a few times throughout the night, but none of this would be possible without Miss Julie Anderson. So I just want to take this chance to give you our thanks from the Trippers and Miss Haney and Miss Jackson and Coach Easley. You have made this experience so life-changing for so many years, and the Baylor Community Service program would not exist without you. And this trip would not exist without you, and so we just want to share our thanks and present you with the poster and the trip for 2025, or the shirt for 2025. Thank you so much.
So I mentioned Donna Marie, now that you're on the floor. You can stand back, you can stay. We're family here. Don't sit down. Donna Marie, as stated, created our video before as a tripper, past tripper. However, she and Barbara Kennedy, they have been so gracious in not only creating the video, but Donna Marie, thank you for creating our poster. And with Barbara Kennedy, she has definitely been very, as I said, gracious and helpful in just sponsoring and promoting and whatever we need. She's there, and articles and all the great things. And Angela Rich, she is over just all of the publications and the production and all of the things, and as far as the graphics are concerned. And so we just call on her, and she helps us. And so we want to thank you all. Thank you, Donna Marie. Thank those partners that were listed. We've already said thank you again to the community, but it is very important to us that we want everyone to know that it literally takes a village. This trip is not just us. It's not just the chaperones. It's not just our trippers. And it takes everybody. So we want every single person in here and beyond to know that we see you. And we know that we couldn't have done this without them. So thank you very much. And I believe it's time for our presentation of you all.
So we now like to present those who will receive the mantle, if you will, tonight, receive the baton, and continue in this legacy. The 2026 Jamaica Servant Leadership Trippers are, I'll have you stand and face everyone, Shanina Dong, Ananya Chakraborty, Gavin Williams, Ellie Wu, Lola McNabb, Katie Card, and Krishna Patel. Thank you all. You can be seated. And to our 2025 Jamaica Troopers. Tonight we gathered for our final reflections. And I encourage you just to remember. Remember the first time we got off the bus in Ferry. You walked into the very basic school and felt the embrace of the children. You walked down the lane as Jolie introduced you to Omar, and Lisa, Mama Rose, and so many others. I encourage you to remember when you stepped off that van and you walked into Bethany Village. And you felt the love that transcends distance and even death when you sat under the gazebo with Erica's friends. I encourage you to remember the bracelet making and the communication that you had in the absence of words. I encourage you to remember. I encourage you to remember the joy and the love that you felt when you met Rudy in the Home for the Aged and you made art in Garfield's studio. I encourage you to remember how quickly you connected with every partner you encountered and what flowed from your heart to theirs. I encourage you to remember and hold those memories close. We love you. We cherish the time we spent together. Thank you. And thank you. Have a wonderful evening.
But there's someone here tonight that has never missed a Jamaica Reflections. And when I saw him this evening, for how many years, Chris Watkins? He's never missed one. Not one. No pressure for next year. But Chris Watkins, every Jamaica tripper thanks you for your devotion, your dedication, all genuine, all from the heart. You listen to the stories of the unheard, right? And we thank you. And he is an example for us all to follow. He comes in quietly, he listens, and he exits with no fanfare. A true Jamaica true. You know, when I saw him, I just thought, so I apologize for hopping in.
Well, I asked you.
I know, but
you felt moved by the spirit.
she asked me if I wanted to talk, and I said, no, this is the Jamaica Trippers. But when I saw Chris Watkins, you know when you're moved, when you gotta speak, right? So, congratulations to you, and deep gratitude to you.